Alright, so from last time we do have a basic chess game. We can play some moves. Right now we don't have any order in like which player's turn it is. You can just play any move, but we do have some, legal moves. We don't have all the possible moves, like we don't have yet castling, or I guess better one would be, the classic taking a pawn like this with en passant or something like that. But no, we do have some basic functionality, and the plan for today I would say is to try and implement these moves like castling and the rest of the moves, and maybe we can even try to figure out if the like game works by checking something called, I think it's Shannon's number, which it's the number of possible positions after you make a certain amount of moves in chess. So for instance, after only one move you can reach only 20 positions, right? And that's because you can move these 8 pawns, right? You can move them, I guess, 1 or 2 steps, right? And that's like 8 times 2. And then you can also move the knight 4 steps, so that's like 4 times, or no, 2 times 8 plus 4, right, which is 20. So we can just try to use this number of possible positions to see if our moves are really correct. So yeah, and I guess for that what we would need, maybe before even tackling that, I did some more refactoring on the code since last time, and I just renamed, well, it's not this one but the wasm.h file. I just renamed all of these functions to match the functions from ArrayLib, because I thought, well, if I'm trying to build this as a how should I call it, like supporting multiple platforms kind of, what we could do is to have the functions named similarly, and because of that, when we write the code, we can just do an if-def like this, and in case we are using no stdlib, which is basically wasm, I could even say here like wasm like this. I think that's how I was doing it. So if we go to GitHub, and I think it was connect for C, and I think in the connect for project I was doing something like this as well. So inside of game, maybe not game. Anyway, I remember there was something like wasm, maybe not. Yeah, something like this with wasm. And so it's like if we are using wasm, then we are including wasm.h, and else we are probably using Linux. So yeah, that's that. In case we are using something like a native build, we are going to include raylib, and then we are able to just use the raylib functions, right? And in case, so like load texture and draw rectangle, draw texture, and so on, draw circle. And in case we are using raylib, it's going to use the raylib implementation, otherwise it's going to use the wasm one. And I'm not sure why. Before I was able to do that, I'm not sure why it happens to not work with this project, but I was able to include this raylib.h in a wasm project and it was fine. But now in this one it was complaining about this std-arg, which obviously doesn't work because we don't have stdlib. But when I did the particle simulation, it was fine with std-arg. Not sure why it doesn't work now. So it's a bit annoying that we have to rewrite the same header twice, because that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm just rewriting the function definitions, which I don't really like. Would be nicer to just have them in raylib.h, and that's that, because we don't need to define them again. It's just because in raylib.h it's including this std arg.h thingy, which breaks my implementation, because otherwise if you are looking at the header file, it's not including std lib anywhere, so it should be fine. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But other than that, you know, the game.c file is just, it's kind of similar with what we had before. It has this init function and tick function, and then inside of main.c we have the native code, which is just gonna call to init and then tick in each frame, and then we'll have the index.ts file, which is gonna do the same thing. So inside of the entry point, it's gonna call to init and then tick on each frame. So we can just safely now implement the game natively in using raylib, and it should work out of the box for wasm, except when we use a new function and we have to implement it in TypeScript, but that's you know, we'll see that happening. We'll probably not have to do that pretty soon, because we don't need anything else rather than drawing rectangles, textures, and circles. I don't think we need anything else from raylib, so should be fine. Okay, anyway, so again, what I would like to, not inside of chess.c, but inside of game.c, what I would like to be able to do, I guess, is try and figure out these numbers, I guess. Try to figure out these numbers and see if we are close to this. I guess to do something like that, what we would need is maybe some CLI arguments. So it's like, okay, we are basically going to have a single CLI tool like this main file. And what if we provide something like count moves or something? I don't know, it's like a flag, count moves, and using this flag, it's not going to start the GUI application, it's just going to show us a table like this. It's going to show us the numbers. I think that could be a decent idea. For that though, we have to define the argument parser implementation, and that's not going to work on wasm, because argument parser, it's not something that works on wasm. It doesn't make sense. I mean, we should be able to add, I think we should, ds ap implementation for the argument parser. I think it should be fine. The only problem is it's not that useful, but I think it shouldn't fail building, right? Yeah, it should. Okay, perfect. So if we go to this and we start a Python server, or I guess HTTP server, and we go to localhost, yeah, you know, it should still work. It's just that AP, it's kind of useless for wasm. So maybe I want to have some if-defs here as well, but would be kind of ugly to have them inside of chess. Like, what's the point of having them inside of chess.c? Maybe we want to have a file called ds.c, and in here we are going to include ds.h, and then we take all of this stuff and put it into ds.c. So here we just define our things. And again, this is not, so if def I guess Linux, that's when we are including the argument parser implementation, right? Otherwise I don't see a reason for it. Or maybe, I don't know, if not defined wasm. Otherwise there's not really a point in defining it. And what we have to not forget about is to include ds.c as a dependency. So ds.o comes from ds.c, we include it, and we also need it inside of the web build. So here, ds.c. So yeah, we are just adding ds.c as a dependency, which is going to contain just the implementation for dynamic arrays, string builders and slices, and hash map, which is important. And it's going to contain the implementation for argument parser only if we are using the non-wasm build. So it's like if we come here, right, and we can include ds.h, here we'll have access to the argument parser. Okay, and the argument parser, right, maybe we can just steal it from somewhere like here. I don't know if I use argument parser. I think I did. Yeah. So let's just have these arguments d thingy, and let's try to build this thing. So I said that one of the things I would like to have is count moves. And maybe count moves should maybe it shouldn't be, maybe it should be like a flag, like a subcommand, but we don't really have subcommands for this thing, for my argument parser, right? We don't really have subcommands, so that's kind of meh, but so yeah, maybe we can just, I don't know, have a flag for count moves, and then let's just say count moves also takes as a position argument the number of moves or something, like, right? So the depth, like 1, right? Something like this, maybe. It's what I want. But yeah, like, sure, the this can be a subcommand. So let's just take it as a subcommand. So here is gonna be sub command. We can still make it work, sub cmd, and then we can have an integer for depth, the depth at which to run the engine, and this is gonna be like multi-use. So it's gonna be, first for this subcommand is gonna be the depth for which to generate this number. Then if we are running the like chess engine to generate the best move, is gonna be the default depth, let's say, like the minimum depth or something like that. And yeah, and this is gonna be subcommand one of, and it can be count moves, and we'll see what else. Okay, so that's gonna be our arguments. Okay, So first of all, we have to create the parser. Let's create a parser, chess engine, in C. Why not? Let's brag about it. Okay, so let's add the arguments, right? So parse options, short name is gonna be S for subcommand. The subcommand to use with the engine, and it's gonna be positional, right? And should it be required? I think not. I think it can be false, because I'm thinking that by default we don't have a default, but if required is false, we can set a default manually after we parse, right? I think we can make it like define default subcommand is gonna be like GUI mode, right? We can start the or game, I don't know, the default game thing, like this function basically. Okay, so that's gonna be the default value, and then we can have or maybe subcommand game define subcommand count moves, right? Something like this. Okay, maybe you can add game count moves and add the coup. Okay, so let's add the next argument, which is the depth. So let's say d and then depth, the depth to use with the engine. It's just a description. And this one should be a value. It's like a flag value, basically. Argument with a value. And required is gonna be false. Let's just say default is gonna be 0 maybe, I don't know. So no depth, just random basically. If the depth is 0, it's gonna be random. Let's think, is it gonna be random? I guess so. Default is gonna be game. I mean, regardless, it still makes sense. Like by default, if you run the engine, it's gonna be random. Sure, why not? I mean, we could have by default is gonna be the best one, but I don't really care. Let's leave it as 0. Although whatever, this is like only one move. So after each player has moved, so 10 layers, there are 69 million. No, it's 69. This would be millions, billions, trillions. Holy moly. But it's a nice, you know what I mean? Nice number. Okay, so the last step we have to do is to parse the arguments, and in case it doesn't work, it doesn't work, it is what it is. And args sub cmd is gonna be, so we are getting the value, we have get value, get flag, get value from parser, and we are using the long name, so subcmd. I mean, it's kind of hard coding the string, but who cares? Subcmd, and would be cool to have a function exactly like this, but or default. I started to really like this or default thingy, sharp pointer default underscore. You cannot have default. I think it's kind of cool. So get value is going to give us a value directly straight up, but this one, what it's going to do is sharp pointer value is going to be ds arg parse get value. We give it parser and name, right? And then if value is equal to null, we return default, otherwise we return value, right? I think that's kind of cool. Or default, and here we have sub cmd game. Okay, and args arrow depth is gonna be, now this is kind of interesting because we need a to I, right? A to I, and we have depth, and by default we are gonna put a 0 like this. Okay, and that should, then we should just free the argument parser. Obviously this would also work for wasm. It's not like, oh, it's only for command line arguments. You can just generate these two thingies, the argc and argv, and just parse them on anything. You don't have to pass them from here, right? But you kind of pass them from there. It's kind of how it works. Anyway, so let's create these arguments t. Okay, and what are we gonna do here? Well, we should just call this function. Pass that by reference. Okay, and then maybe we want to have something like void game, where we just put our stuff, and here it's something like if string compare between no, I kind of think that we should have we do have this as a define. So if these two things are equal, then we just print again and return 0, or maybe this should just return an integer. Else if this thing is equal to 0, then we are gonna do count moves, and else we are gonna return like error, but that's like this. So we need count moves at this point. Obviously, I think I want depth as an argument. Oh, what? Oh, I forgot about make file. I forgot to add here dependency to ds.o on the last file. Okay, nice. So now if we run main, it should run the game normally, right? And if we do count moves, but without minus minus, we get the count moves call, or like the CLI tool that we need to implement. Okay, that's interesting. So we have a reference to game.h, stdlib, okay. Not sure if I want to have that inside of game.h, but that's like game, right? Maybe I want to have count moves as a separate file. And we already have so many things. It could be inside of chess.h just to keep it, you know, close to the other chess stuff. I think that maybe makes sense. Void chess count moves. Let's give it a chess board t pointer board. Let's give it, maybe it just returns an integer for the number of moves, and maybe it also gets a depth. But it's kind of awkward because it should also get as an argument whose turn is it to start, but maybe it's always white. We'll see. Maybe this is what W means here, a white mover, I don't know. I guess that's where I want to have it, chess count moves. Okay. This one has the board. But I guess this stuff is just for the game, so we shouldn't care. Okay, whatever. Let's go to main.c and let's include chess.h. All right, we need chess.h. Interesting. I like to sort them like that. Well, actually, a good way to sort things is alphabetically, probably. I don't know. Just to have a convention. But regardless. So here we can do something like chess board t board, and let's make it 0. Right? Maybe we can chess init fan, and we can initialize our board with some value. We have to see. I mean, we have chess start. Interesting. We have chess start. Inside of game.c, we init fan by, doing this. which I guess makes sense. And then we have chess count moves, and we give it the board and the depth. And then maybe, I don't know, moves is equal to, and I guess we could do something like for maybe depth percentage d, arrow moves percentage d, and then depth and moves. So we show how many moves we have. Okay, if we compile this thing, it's gonna complain that chess count moves doesn't exist, which is true, it doesn't exist yet. So maybe we want to go to chess.c and actually define the function. The chess.h. Let's actually define it. And let's say we return 0 for now. So if I run this thing, it's gonna say 0, obviously. 2, 3. Okay, perfect. So, one step closer. Yeah, I think we should have something like whose turn it is, but yeah. So is it, I think it's gonna be a DFS style approach. Am I right? We are gonna do some kind of DFS to count how many moves we can make, but it's not really count moves, it's more like count positions. Let's maybe be more specific. Count positions. Oops. I think it's better to say count positions. Because it's how many positions can we reach. Oopsie doopsie. Oh. Okay, and this function maybe should be called count positions. Okay. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe it's more correct to call it positions, because it's how many positions can we reach with a depth of 0 would be 0. Exactly. Or 1. If you have a depth of 0, it's 1 position. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's think about the approach. I think specifying who's starting, it's a good point. Right. Maybe a char starting, like who is starting, and it's gonna be chess white or chess black. Obviously, inside of main.c, I'm gonna do chess white, because we care only for the white perspective, but it's like not even important though, but yeah. Okay, so how are we gonna do this one? Obviously, int count is gonna be equal to 1 initially, because we have already one position, right? If depth is equal to 0, then shit. No. we need some kind of auxiliary function. So it's gonna be int chess count positions DFS. I'm gonna call it DFS. It's going to have as an argument the board, right? The starting position, or like more like the current player, white or black. It needs the depth, and I think how do I want to make this one? I think it also needs but I don't know if we actually really need an internal function. Maybe it's more like if depth is equal to 0, that's when we return 1, because it's only one position. And then we need to figure out what to do on the base, like this is the base case for the recursion, and then on the non-base case, obviously we'll have to do a for loop over the entire board. So it's gonna be unsigned int I is equal to 0, I is less than chess width times chess height. Maybe we'll do file is equal to 0, file is less than chess width file plus plus is equal to 0, rank is less than chess height rank plus plus, and that's how we get the file and the rank. And maybe we'll have an int count is equal to 0. Count is going to be equal to something here. We're going to add something to count, and then we return the count, right? I think that's how we are supposed to do it. Okay, so chess square get. We have this kind of function, chess square get, which gives us what piece is on a certain square. Maybe I can use literal. This one comes from ArrayLib. Whatever. We can say square t. So wait, just square get takes in a square. Okay. File is file and rank is rank. Okay, and we pass in the board. So that's how we get a piece, right? That's how we get the piece. And if piece bitwise end with starting, again, maybe I should call this one current. It's like the current player. Right, it's like the one that's playing right now. So if these two are not equal to 0, right, so we are looking at the piece for the current player. We kind of want to generate all the possible moves, right, and actually apply the move. Maybe here what I'm missing inside of chess.h is saying that this one is an array of square t. Right. It needs to be an array of square t. So then it would be fair to create it and just use it. So I get the square. If it's not 0, so if we are looking at one of our pieces, we obviously want to do chess valid moves, right? Oops. Chess valid moves, we pass in the board okay, let's save the square as a variable because it looks like we need it. So we pass the square, and then we need to pass in a dynamic array. I'm not sure, should I? Dynamic array moves is equal to 0. I guess I can just create a dynamic. That's interesting. If I want to initialize it with an allocator. Moves size of square t. So I kind of have to pass in here an allocator. Yeah, whatever. Where does it want? It's a DS allocator. Interesting. So if we go to chess H and I make it DS allocator, so it's a pointer to an allocator. Okay, fair enough. It should be a pointer to an allocator, obviously. So we give it here the allocator, and just like that we should be able to get all the possible moves, right? And this dynamic array v moves at the end. We want to free the array. Okay. And at this point you can see that here is where malloc and free are kind of important to run together, because it's actually leaking memory if we are not freeing, right? Because it's in like a for loop, and once you go out of this for loop you don't need the memory anymore, so you should free it. In other cases, it's not that relevant, but this is one of those cases where you want to call to free. Okay, anyway, so here I would like to do the following, which is a for loop over all the possible moves.count. Okay, we go over the moves, then we want to get one of these moves, which is maybe gonna be called target, and we are gonna do something like ds dynamic array get ref, give it the moves, we give it I, we give it void pointer target, right? So that's how we are gonna get not really, I want to do it like this. It doesn't really matter. So we get the target, Okay, we need to shit, and now that's gonna be interesting. Apply move. This one, apply move, it's kind of annoying, honestly, because it's not really correct. Let's just say it shouldn't do validation and stuff. It should be just remove a piece and move it somewhere else, honestly. So I don't really like this function. Let me just do this function is kind of meh. I don't really like it. It shouldn't be done like this. We'll look at it later. For now, let's just say that what would be nice to do here is maybe have a clone of the board. Maybe we want to make a clone of this board and apply the move on it. So something like chessboard T clone is going to be 0. Let's mem copy into clone from board, and the size will be chess width times chess height times size of char. And the reason why we can actually do mem copy is because the chessboard is now just 1D array, so it's no longer like a 2D array like it was in Connect 4. It's only a 1D array, so memcopy should work. So we get a clone, and on this clone I want to apply the move, and I guess the only part which is nice in this function is actually these two calls, and the other stuff is like fine, it's validating that the move is correct, but there's no point in doing that. We should validate that before that should be validated somewhere else. So we are getting wait so we are setting into the target square what's in our square, right? And then on our square we are setting nothing, so that should be, yeah. So basically we take the value from the board, but we should do it on clone. That's why we cloned the board. Clone. So yeah, what we are doing here is we are setting the target square to have the piece from the original square. Maybe we can give it a better name to this thing, like target and origin, or what, source, right? Source square. I don't know, let's keep it as square. This is the original square and we are moving it to target. Okay, and after we are moving this one to on the clone board, what we have to do is is to call recursively to chess count positions. We need to pass the clone board depth -1 and obviously the allocator, and we should say maybe something like count plus equals this. But what about current? For current we should flip it, so maybe we want to have here something like void chess flipped player, and maybe returns a char and it takes in a char current, right? And the goal is that this function will flip the player. So if current is equal to chess black, return chess white, and otherwise return chess black. Right, and here we do chess flip player. I think that's how we simulate all the possible moves, right? So we get the original board, we get the current player, a depth, and you know, an allocator because we want to do it like that. Then we go on an 8x8 square. We check if we get a piece on that square. We check if that piece is from the current player. If it is from the current player, so non-zero, we get all the valid moves for that piece. Then we iterate all the possible moves that that piece can make, and we just create a new board with that move applied, and we recursively call to our function. So yeah, in the end it should give us the number of positions that we can have. So let's go to main, and here, because we are not using an allocator for the Raylib version, or I guess CLI version, we are gonna pass null, and let's run make. So if we do a depth of 0, we should get fuck. Oh, it's count positions. Maybe I want here to do something like ds arg parse usage. We don't have usage. The fuck? I was pretty sure we had usage. Print help. But I need to give the parser. Oh shit. You know what? Whatever. Return 1 is fine. So it's only one position for a depth of 0. 30 positions for depth 1. I wonder how it got 30 positions. So it's weird, right? Because it's basically one, like these are all one moves, so 8 moves. Then we are able to do this one, right? Interesting. I mean, we can still print some info in here, so something like here, yes, log info moved %c, or I guess %d from %d to %d, and then we have here the piece, but we have the piece, yeah. Then we have square dot file, square dot rank, target file, and target rank. So these are really -1, move the 9 from 01 to 02, then from 01 to 03. Wait, no way. That's because of the knight, I guess. Wait, so I can move them out of bounds? That's fucking crazy. Let's see. So if we check valid moves knight, but I have this is bounded. Huh. So if it's bounded, square file is greater than 0, square file is less than width. What? No, it's the target that has to be, I'm stupid. Target has to be bounded, not the square. Well, I guess I made this mistake only for the knight, but you get the point. Okay, so let's check again. Now we only get 20. That's much better. Maybe I want to have some kind of printing function that prints me the move in, you know, nerd not I'm sorry, in like chess notation. You know what I mean? That would be cool, but that that would be cool. But yeah, you see we get 20 moves, which is nice. It's 20. What about a depth of 2? Do we get 400? Holy moly. Depth 3, do we get 8, 9? Nice. 1977. Oh no. I guess we are missing some moves. No, we have too many. 197. I guess we are making some moves because we are missing checks. So I would assume that after 4 moves you can get into check. Let's check that. So let's say you make 1 move, then you make this move, and then this one becomes a check. Right, so here at this point you're gonna do like random moves which are not legal because you are in check. Okay, interesting. So we'll have to check on that. We'll have to see if that works. Okay, but that's pretty cool. Okay. Let me just remove that print and let's double check how fast it goes. So if I do depth of 4, it's instant. Let's say depth of 5. Shit, it's slow. It's kind of slow, not gonna lie. It's kind of slow. Right. I mean, it's kind of slow-ish. I would assume it's slow because we are allocating a bunch of crap here. So maybe we can find another way to get the moves, but I don't think we can. unless we are using an an array. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So again, we don't get the right number of moves, and I would assume it's because we are not checking for checks, right? So I guess that's the next step we have to do. We should take into account checks. How can we actually do that? Let's see. So I guess the easiest way to do it is to go into chess valid moves, and we can say something like, okay, what would happen if you make this move? Would the opponent be able to capture the king? And if that's the case, then we should discard that move, right? I think that makes sense. I think that could be a decent idea. But I'm a bit scared that it's gonna make things really slow, because if you think about it, you have to you basically have to create a clone of the board. You have to play a move, and then you have to check all the enemy moves. Which, I mean, let's be real, it's not that many, but you still have to do that. I guess as a first iteration, that's a good idea to try, and we'll see after. So let's create a clone of these chess varied moves. Let's make this one static, and let's call it all. So all the moves, regardless of whether you are in check or not. So let's just call this function, oops, like this. So we give it the board, the square, and oops, and the moves, right? Maybe I want to create a different array here. Like, if you think about it, I mean, we have DS dynamic array delete. We have delete, so we can do deleted index, so that we are good on that. Okay, so we just got all the possible moves that a piece can make, right? So let's do a for int I is equal to moves.count. I should be greater or equal moves minus 1, greater or equal than 0, I minus, and I want to go in reverse, because when you delete from an array, you should do your for loop in reverse. You should do that. The reason why, I mean, well, you'll get it with experience, but that's all I can say. Okay, so we iterate all the possible moves, and at this point we want to simulate making that move. So let's just copy paste some part of this code. Okay, we need a target. I don't know why I didn't copy that, but so we need a target. We'll take a reference to that move. We'll apply it on our clone, and we kind of need I mean, maybe I shouldn't. Let's make this one the normal function because I'm too lazy to call the same thing twice. Let's just do that. Here is gonna be a return because we don't care. And then let's make the for loop after. Right. Okay, so we are going to need the piece color because that's our color, right? And I guess we should check if chess, well, I guess I'm gonna call it chess capture can capture, and here we can just pass the clone board. I'm gonna do it as a reference because why not? Clone board, and let's say maybe I'm just gonna call it can capture king. Or maybe check chess is in check, I don't know, is in check, and let's pass in the clone board and the piece color. So this will check if the king is in check after we make a move. So if the king is in check after we make a move, it means that it can be captured. So anyway, this function might be kind of useful for an engine, so I just want to make it available, probably. So again, if the king can be captured after you make that move, it means that it's not valid. And you might say, okay, but why not check it before making the move? Like, why do we need to make the move? And now that's an interesting point. Why can't you do that? Well, let's say we run the game. Let's say we just make some random moves like this just to get rid of them. And now you bring out this guy here. So now at this point, I guess castling is not possible because the king would go through a check. I think this is not possible to like even go here. Like come with the king here. I don't think it works because it goes through a check. So I guess that's a special move regardless. So the other one was this, right? So you would make the move. I know, don't like, it is what it is. I cannot drag and drop pieces. So the king would end up on a check, right? And maybe there are other cases where this can happen. Like the king would end up in a check after you make the move. So that's why I want to check afterwards. And I don't want to check it before because maybe there is a move that covers the king from a check, and that's a valid move. Okay, so that's what I think. So if the king is in check, then we want to dynamic array delete. We want to delete from the moves index I. But now we need this chess is in check function. So let's add this one. Int chess is in check. We need the board and we need char current, or like, you know, side, the player. Okay, so how are we gonna implement this function? Let's see. Chess is in check. Well, we kind of want to do the same thing like here. We want to iterate all the things. Maybe we want a char enemy enemy to be swap chess flip player current, so that's the enemy, and we want to get a piece that's on a certain square. We want to check if it's blah, blah. Let's just copy paste this entire thing. I think it's fine to copy paste it. So we want to check if a piece is an enemy. We should we need the allocator. We need the allocator. That's kind of annoying. Do we really need it? Yeah, because we want to generate all the moves. Maybe we can get to a point where we cache these moves somehow. So that's going to be an optimization that we're going to think about. But for now, let's just go with it. We'll see how slow it becomes. And once it becomes way too slow, we'll try to optimize. So we see that the piece is an enemy piece. Then we take its valid moves. And that's that's really funny, because if that moves would cause the enemy king to be in check, it wouldn't be valid. It wouldn't be valid. But is that really the case? Because I don't really care that it leaves me in check, because I can just take the king and win instantly. So that's the idea. So maybe that chess valid moves all was a good idea after all. Maybe that was actually a good idea. Shit. I think it was a good idea. Let's just redo that. So static all, right? And we don't do this part. Here we don't need to do this part, but we need to call to chess valid moves all board square moves. But we need the piece. Let's just use moves allocator here for now. Okay, so here at this point, I think we need to call with all. So we can do all the valid chess moves. It doesn't matter that it leaves my king or like the enemy king in check, because it can just take the enemy king. Okay, so here we just go through all the moves. Right, we get the ref, and I would like to do something different. That would be char, maybe not piece, maybe piece, piece is equal to chess square get, and we get it from board wait target, and this needs to be like that. So here we get a piece, right? And if piece and chess king I mean, it doesn't matter. You cannot take your own king, but you get the point. So if it's a king, then we return 1, right? And here we return 0. So we go over all the squares on the chessboard, right? We look at the current piece. If it's an enemy piece, we check all the moves that it can make, even the ones that leave the king in check. It doesn't matter if the enemy king remains in check after this move, right? And if any of the valid moves of this piece can target the king, the enemy king basically, it means that my king was exposed. So it returns a 1. Otherwise it returns 0. And that means that the move was a check. So let's see if we run make. If we run the game like this, wait, what? What the fuck? How the fuck is that? That's fucking crazy. What the fuck? I have no idea how that's even possible. Okay, that was crazy. That was fucking insane. Okay, because it's like we are only removing moves. What the fuck? Oh, it's... Yeah, I forgot about the return. Oh, I have to hit return on all of this. That was fine though. That was pretty fine. Okay, so if I move the pawn, can move it, can move this one, and then... Wait, why cannot I go here? Wait, what? It's like, don't make a stupid move, just don't lose the bishop in one move. It's like it's like, it's so funny. But why though? This doesn't make sense. Anyway, so I cannot move anything. I can only move the king. That's pretty cool. I cannot block. Okay. What happened? What happened? So this still works as expected, I would say. Chess valid moves. So if I would just comment out this thing, this would be the exact same thing as before, right? There would be no change. So I can do something like this, something like this, something like this, and this would still let me move wherever. Okay, perfect. If I put this thing back, let's check. So we look at the list of moves, right? We take a target. We create a clone of the board. We move the piece at the target. And then we delete it from where it was. Then we check if is in check on the clone. That's good. That's good. And if it's in check on the clone board, we delete the move index I. Move would lead to check. Let's do percentage d, percentage d, percentage d, percentage d, square square file, square rank, target file, target rank. I mean, what? So this was that, and here move would lead to check 5702. How the fuck would that lead to check? Whatever. Chess is in check, so enemy is flip current. That's good, that's good. We iterate the entire board, we get the piece. If piece and enemy is not zero, so if it's an enemy piece, we get all the valid moves of that thingy. We then iterate all the moves. We create another target from these moves. We read another piece from the board. Chess fucking king, what? This piece would be captured. Let's say percentage %D and then piece. I don't really know. Yeah, it's like 0 because there's no piece, but then 17 20. $17 because it's what the fuck? Okay, let's think again. So maybe I want to do here color flag is equal to enemy, and here piece flag is equal to king. Okay. So inside of piece flag, bishop would be a 4. Okay, let's see. So initially would be all zeros, that's good. All zeros. Ah, no, it's fine. Oh, 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 oh. Okay. That's pretty cool. Okay, nice. So yeah, it's blocking all the moves that you cannot make due to a chess check. So it means that it was something to do with this piece of crap. Okay, interesting. So let's check again with a depth of 120 positions, 400, 8 something something, and then 197281. We are getting there, boys. We are fucking getting there. And then with the depth of 5, see, it's much slower though. And we get 4865, and when we are cooked then. 485, and we have too few moves, and I think that's because we are missing a couple of moves that you can make, and I think those are castling and peasant, right? I mean, can you castle in 5 move? I think so. I think yes. Let's double check if we can do that. So you would have to play this thing, then you place this, then you play this. This is the 3rd move. This is the 4th move, right? And then this is the 5th move. So you cannot castle in 5 moves. Right? Or am I stupid? Okay, whatever. Let's say maybe the other one is 1 move, 2 moves, 3 move, 4 move, and the 5th move is N peasant. Maybe the N peasants are the 5th moves, right? Which we are missing. Now the N peasant move, it's kind of interesting. Right. Check valid moves pawn. Because we need access to the previous move. And I would say that a move it needs 2 squares. Type def struct move t. I think we'll need 2 squares, and we need the origin and the target or something. So square t source or src and destination, or start and end, and this is gonna be move t. Right, and we need to keep track of the last move. So if the last move was a pawn push, then you can end peasant it, right? I think so. So let's go to game.c and let's define last move. Move t, last move is gonna be a 0. I mean, even chessboard could be 0. Okay. Okay, so what I would also maybe want to do here, square like, let's define square light move, and this one is gonna be like a darker version of this, so maybe I'm just gonna make it a instead of that, 9, 7, or maybe 8. I don't know, we are just gonna make it darker, and dark move, it's also gonna be darker, right? So this should become a 9, or maybe and a 2. I don't know. Let's hope that it's the same kind of color. Okay, so I guess I also want an integer has moved, and it's gonna be 0. So do we have any moves on the board? Right, or yeah, something like that. Okay, and again, apply move, sucks to suck. Chess apply move, I don't really like it. maybe it should be somewhere here as a static function. Right, choose.h. Because yeah, I don't see how it's useful there. We have get and set, which are more than useful, and then we have this one, which is kind of meh. But anyway, just apply move, whatever. Just apply move, and then if we actually make a move, I would say as moved is gonna be 1 because we have moved, and last move start is gonna be square, and last move end is gonna be selected square, right? No, selected square is the origin and square is the type. We have to make sure that this stuff it's good enough, because it's kind of meh. Anyway, if has moved, so if has moved, then I would like to draw some rectangles, but maybe I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this one after, and this one here. Okay, but I need file and rank. Okay, so if we have moved, then we need to do something like last move.start.file, last move.start.rank, and the color is gonna be chess. The fuck? Let me just put the same color. Oh, interesting. So I'm maybe gonna say file is equal to this thing, and rank is equal to this thing. Okay, and here we have square light move, square dark move, and in here is gonna be color. So that's gonna be for the start and for the end as well. Let's check. So if I click on this thing and move it, oh, it's kind of ugly, not gonna lie. So the dark move, I don't know how I can make it 1. So ABC, it should be like 9, right? 6, 5. Can I make it only 1 tone darker? I don't know if that makes sense. So this should be E, C, A. Is that too much again, or is it fine? Oh, how is it? Sure, that's one small mistake with the makefile, but It's not dark enough, I'd say. Should be darker. So let's say 8, 5, 4, dB 9. Yeah, it's saying that everything is done because I haven't put the header files as dependencies, which yeah, maybe I should do that. I mean, it's still not you know, it's visible, but could be better. Maybe one tone darker. C A 8. Let's see. Make clean. Make. I mean, it's extremely fast anyways, so it doesn't matter. But now wait. Obviously the colors are really similar. This looks better, doesn't it? Yeah, I think it does. I think it looks decent. Like at least you can see the start and the end. Like it's visible, unless you are colorblind, and then I'm sorry. Yeah, it's visible enough, I guess. Fine. I'm happy with that. Anyway, so valid moves, right? I think we also need we need a move T for the last move. Move T last move. I think we need the last move. Okay, let's check. So if I run make, clean, and then make, we should get some errors. First of all, in chess.c, where we call to 227, where we actually need move the last move, right? We get another one in chess.h, chess.c 302, where we need last move here as well. Last move and last move should be something that chess count positions should get as an argument as well. Move T, last move. Interesting. Okay, and it's gonna complain here about last move not being there. So let's create move the last move, which should be start is equal to square and end is equal to target. And here let's pass in last move. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. That's the last move. And where do we get some more errors? Well, first of all, in game.c, it makes sense. Game.c 241, where we need to pass last move in here. That's straightforward. Make clean. Let's make again. And the other one where it's missing is inside of the main file, right here, where obviously move the last move should be 0. I guess I could just move the 0, right? So we don't care about the last move initially. Okay, so that one doesn't really matter. And now if we run make, we should see that on 227 it's unused and we have to actually use it. So last move should be passed in here. Last move. And where is it important is for the pawn for now. Last move is important here. And we want move the last move. Okay. So I guess if last move shit. And that's for the graphics, but last move, where is it used? Directly inside of check varied moves. Okay, so directly here. We have to check something like if last move dot start dot file is equal to 0 and last move dot start dot rank is equal to 0, you know, the classics. File is equal to 0. Rank is equal to 0, then we cannot do anything. So maybe int has moved. Okay, has moved is like not this stuff. If has moved. Okay, let's try to get the piece from the end position. So I'm gonna do something like chess get is pawn, or maybe char piece last move dot end, right? That's the piece. Then we can have int is pawn is equal to piece and piece flag is equal to chess pawn. So that's a pawn. Int has pushed 2, maybe, if it has pushed 2. So when can a pawn push 2 is when last move dot end dot rank minus last move dot start dot rank. Maybe we want to abs value this thing. Abs. Oh, we don't have an abs. We will have an abs. Abs value. So this thing is equal to 2. Is equal to ds.h ds.str. So do we have something like ds max? We do. Nice. So we can implement if define ds abs, then it's okay. Else we define ds abs a and b as no ds abs of a as a is greater than 0, then a, otherwise minus a, like this, I think. greater or equal than 0, but you get the point. Wait, what the fuck? Excuse me. Like this. Okay. So if it has pushed 2 and it's a pawn, and the other important thing is if it's at a distance of 1 of my pawn. So if it's at a distance of 1, how can we check that? Int is neighbor. If it's a neighbor pawn, when is a pawn a neighbor? If it's on the left or on the right. So we say ds_obs last move.end.file minus our position. So let's say square.file. So if this thing is 1, right, that's when we are neighbors. If the difference between the files it's 1. If it's 0, then we are head to head, and that's not. So if we are neighbor and like all of these things, int can and and peasant, I don't know how to spell that. I'm sorry, my French fans, I'm sorry. Has pushed 2 and is neighbor. So if all of these things, we can amp it. We can amp the enemy. So where can we move? We can move forward. Wait. Forward direction and left or right. So we can basically move forward amp is gonna be square file. Let's say the difference is this. And we can actually use it. We have to subtract, we have to add or subtract. I think we have to add difference, and we also add forward direction times 1, and that's gonna be the forward amp. So we can just add forward amp to this. Okay, can amp, what the fuck? Oh, if can amp, that's when we do this stuff. Uh, 275, it expects the last move here. What is the last move? Shit. Do we care about... Yeah, we do care about... because... No, because like cannot be an end peasant, so... that would be... so move D, I don't think we care about the last move here. So let's see. So basically now if I just do something like this, it can't... I mean, it can take this guy, but we should also take it. Interesting. Whoa. Okay, so that's not right. That's not right. So if it was a pawn and it has pushed 2, the difference between the fires is 1, but we also need to be on the same line, right? So we have to be on the same rank. So int same rank, then it's square dot rank is equal to last move dot end dot rank. So we need to be on the same rank for that to work. So if I go here, I can take that one, but here I cannot take this one. That makes sense. Okay, but we need to remove that. So how can we explicitly say that that's an n peasant? Shit. How can we say that it's a move that does something? Maybe this array of moves needs shit, that's annoying, because I need to also tell which piece we take. Let's think about it. I mean, let's check if this thing at least at depth 5 works. No. Now it works, right? We get 609. So that was missing. But now we have to remove that pawn. How can we say that? How can we... I mean, besides just making this into a structure, so I would assume that the only way we can do it is just by adding a new structure instead of just square t, which is gonna be something like move t, but not really. Because I need that which piece to take. Shit, it's so annoying. I mean, we also have to think about castling. That's another edge case. It's gonna need some kind of special thing there. Maybe we need some kind of chess move structure, and it's like an enum, and then we have basic moves, and then we have n peasant move, which we just specify from which file to take. Then for the castling move, it's kind of annoying, honestly. Chess is in check. Right, because that's what I think here. It's like maybe we can just make this move T into a more advanced structure. So we have the start, the end, maybe square T takes, which piece to take, which piece to take in case of takes. And we'll think about more things like that, but this also increases the memory. I don't know. Right, so now we have to think about all of these, which piece to take, and then here you tell me that this should be a move T. But that's also maybe better because we're able to just reset this thing. I don't know. Move fucking T. Okay, whatever. Should we do that? Should we have a start, end, and takes? Instead of just that. So it's everywhere. The reason why I'm a bit hesitant about this is because this is like a void pointer, so it's hard to track where I need to change it. That's the annoying part. But maybe that's what I need to do. I need to use move T in there. Okay, whatever. Let's just use move T. So let's go back here. Chess valid moves. This should be a move T. That's crazy. Move T. So there's moves. This should be a move. Let's see, it's like I already give it the starting square. It's annoying. Move end. Shit, it's way too annoying. I mean, I need an integer for takes. Takes square. Right, so it's like okay, takes and then the takes square. Maybe I can even have is move or things like that need is move. I don't know. Right, so here I can say move dot end move dot start if move dot takes. I mean, first you should take and then you should move. Right? Then you move. Maybe if move is move. I don't know. And at this point, maybe it makes sense to have an apply move function that does this part. Right? Maybe just like a void chess apply move chessboard t, and it's just like get and set but for move, right? So get and set. So let me just copy paste this part, chess apply move, fuck, it's like clone and move, but here maybe it's dereferenced. Board, oops, here it's board. Okay, looks good. So maybe that's what apply move should do. Okay, and here it deletes the move. Perfect. So generate moves all. Let's start with the pawn. And that's the part that sucks. Maybe I want to create a macro for generating a move. Move. Maybe it's going to be make move. And the make move is going to take, fuck, it's so many arguments. Is move, start, and takes square, and it's gonna do move t. I mean, it's kind of annoying, but hopefully it's gonna be worth it. Okay, so we have this make move at least. Can I maybe move t, make move? So 1 square forward 0, and the last thing I guess I need to do is define make square rank file squared. Okay, so I would say that this, oops, doesn't matter. Wait, what? fuck do you want? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Expected a field designator, such as field equals 4. What the fuck is wrong with you? Don't you have that? Are you stupid? Oh my fucking god. C and its shitty ass macros. But I'm gonna do it like this. It's because it's dot string, and dot string is not like a token. So it thought that I send this as isMove, and yeah. Again, C and its lame ass macros. Okay, so I suppose we have to pass in here move. Forward left. It's a move. We move forward left and we take from forward left. Okay, forward right. We take from forward right. And it's a move. Nice. We move forward 2. We don't take and make move. What the fuck? Make square. Okay, so and we make square 0, 0. I mean, maybe I can make move takes, right? And I don't even need isMove or takes, because these are gonna be 1 every time. Such a fucking trash. And make move is gonna be just, I don't know how I can make it. Format as it's supposed to do. Okay, so these are fine with make move, just like that. This should be make move takes because it's also taking a piece. This is gonna be make move, simple because we don't take anything. And this one should be move. Starting with square, going to forward enp, and we should take the last move dot end. Ah, Jesus. Now, how about the knight? So I would say we are gonna have 2 ifs. One is if it's free, the other one is else if is bounded and is capture. So we are gonna append move t move Here we are just gonna make a move from square to target. Oops. And here we are gonna make a move with takes and target. It's kind of stupid, but hopefully it works. Okay, for the bishop, we are gonna do something similar. Here, for instance, we make a move, and here we are making a move with takes, and we take at target. Nice. I suppose this one is the same for rooks, so it's the same thing here. Is it just that? Yeah. It should be the same for the queen. And I think it's the same for the king. But with, you know, without the break, because you cannot break. Whoa. What the? Yeah, you cannot break. I mean, that was the idea with the king, yeah. So now this should actually be a move T. This dynamic array. Move T. Okay, check is in check. We make all the moves. Move. This one should actually be a move T. I guess move end. I guess move end. Okay, and here as well we need to say move T, because we are initializing with move T. Jesus. Moves count, moves. That's what I'm talking about. This one sucks bad. I guess here we need to do chess apply move. On the clone we need to apply move. Dereference it, whatnot. And last move should actually be move. Well, I guess that makes it easier, at least, right? Because the last move is actually move. Okay. And maybe now inside of game.c, squares, or I guess moves. Jesus. We need to take the move. Move.end. Wait, what? It wants a reference. We don't need just apply move anymore. Moves. We initialize it with move T. Chess apply move is just this and the move. So maybe we need apply move to validate the move. Let's put it here. Validate selected move, and this maybe it shouldn't have those. Move T. dynamic array get, we get the move, and we say move end dot rank, move end dot file or whatnot. Oh, what do we do? Last move should be equal to move. Not really, but yeah. So if that's okay, and here we should do if it's selected, if valid date selected move board and square. That's when we should be able to make a move. Okay, what the fuck? Move item, we read the item, and if the item and whatever, then we have move is equal to item, right? And now we can do something like move t move and this one apply move just takes these two as an argument, and last move is equal to move. Okay, and has moved. I guess if last move dot is move, because it starts with 0. I think that's fine-ish. Let's just double check. So we are not using board in 188. We are not using the board. I mean, yeah, we are not using the... What the fuck? I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense to use the board, whatever. We are just trying to make sure that the square is inside of the moves. Like the... No, but it's, you know, it's selected square. Right. What am I doing with square? We want the selected square to be inside of the moves. Jesus. Moves, init to move t and whatever. So, piece of shit. So if is selected becomes 0, move %d, no, square file, square rank. Okay, so that's 4-3. So square is, but what the fuck is selected square? No, selected square is the origin. Okay, fair enough. So QWERTY. Jesus Christ. Man, these names are so bad. It's like insane how bad this code base is, honestly. Let's see. Okay, I mean, at least we can make a move. And we can, oh! It actually made an end peasant move. Oof, so at least we get the end peasants. And see, we cannot make illegal moves. Oh, but it's broken. Um, no, we are gonna make selected false only if you... No, we make the moves empty if you click somewhere stupid. So if I select this thing and I click somewhere on the map, it's gonna do that. Okay, nice. So if I get into this kind of position, I can end peasant it. And one idea that I saw somewhere is something like this. What if you get into this kind of position? Wait, is it stupid? It shouldn't be able to advance the pawn. Jesus. So if I get into this position, I can advance the pawn, but that can literally just take the king. What the fuck is wrong with my dumbass AI? Fuck. Fuck, is my AI dumb? What the fuck? It broke. It used to force me to do that. The fuck happened? Ah, shit. Okay, where do I get the moves though? So here we do that. Validate piece of shit. Wait, where do I get all the moves? Chess valid moves. That's the one I care about. Chess valid moves. Maybe I broke something here. We get the move. We memcopy the board. We apply the move. Chess is in check. Chess is in check. This should be move D. I knew it. Somehow it got broken. So if I do this, it shouldn't let me move this pawn, right? But I can move other pawns. And for instance, I can move the queen only there or the bishop there. But I cannot, I mean, I can take it. Nice. So if I do this position again, I mean, we could just load a different fan to make this process faster, but yeah. So I shouldn't be able to push this pawn. And even if I do this stuff and I cannot end peasant, see? That's pretty cool. Even though I should be able, now I mean, obviously the king moved, but I shouldn't be able to end peasant. But what if, now I cannot move this one, what if, oh, I do this, can this, it can end peasant. And now this one is forced to do something. Nice. So this has to block. And then obviously this cooks because, yeah. and the king is cooked. But that's pretty cool, right? I mean, this would be kind of funny. See? And then the king is again cooked. But yeah, now at least we have more valid moves. So we are able to do stuff like end peasant, which is kind of fun. It's a bit, if you'd ask me, it feels a bit clunky to have to click on a piece, then you click on another of your pieces and it doesn't transition instantly. I would like if you click on one of your other pieces to transition instantly to showing you the moves. So maybe that's a bonus feature that we can try to do. So if we go to game.c, if you click, if it is selected, right, it automatically deselects, right? If it's not a valid move, so if it's not a valid move, then maybe we want, if selected, so if you click on one of your pieces, that's what I would like to change. If it is selected and it's not a valid move, you cook that. Maybe I can do something like if it is selected and you have and there is a piece, int clicked add own piece would be something like chess and chess piece, no, color flag. If the color flag is equal to what though? Because I don't have the player color. Okay, so maybe we have to introduce the current player. Let's introduce the current player. Char current is equal to chess white. That's gonna be the current player. And if you click, right, and if it is whatever, let's do something like this. If is selected is equal to 0, so you haven't selected anything, right? Or maybe chess square get of board square and color flag is equal to current, that's when we have to run this one, right? That's when we run this one, and else if you haven't selected anything, that's when you have to run this one. So if selected is 0, not good, not good. No, it's this one. If you clicked on your own piece. I think that's it. If you clicked on one of your colors, is selected becomes 1, selected square is square, valid moves becomes valid moves, and that's it. Otherwise, if you click on anything else that's not your piece, selected becomes 0, move becomes that, dynamic array clear moves, and current is chess flip player of current. Maybe I want to rename this to current player just to have a different name. So now if I run main, I should be able to just click around pieces and shit, what? What the fuck? Excuse me? Who the fuck is the current player? Printf %d \n current player. What the fuck is wrong with you? So the current player is 8. It's still fucking 8, what? No. Current player changes only when you make the move. Only when the move is valid. That was the idea. Okay, so let's run it again. So now, see, white cannot move again. It has to be black. So now black moves, then white, then black again, then maybe white again. And the next and final move would be castling. So yeah, see how black cannot move again. That's pretty cool. So castling is the next move on the list. But you know, I think kind of ran out of time for today. I think we made kind of good progress. Like we managed to implement this depth checking. What the fuck? Oh, count positions. Positions. Oh no, what? Why did it broke? I mean, let's see. Chess count positions. Okay, chess count positions. Where do I initialize moves? What the fuck? Yeah, it's good. What? Chess valid moves. What the fuck? Let me just printf something. I'm curious if it's getting here. No? The fuck? I mean, here it definitely gets there. Wait, what? Why do I send depth 0? So, fuck? Whoa, what? Make clean, make. Wait, why did it break? That was fucking insane. What? But now for 5 positions, it's gonna be 4,865,609. So it's this one. But I think for the sixth move you can already castle, so it should be less moves than on Wikipedia. So it should be less than 119 million. Damn, that's so slow. Although I don't think the engine would be this slow, because this function just checks all the possible moves. So it's obviously gonna be slow. But the chess engine would, do some alpha beta pruning, would check what makes sense, wouldn't go random like this. So, but it's still slow as fuck. Much slower than before, I would say. And obviously I think it's because of those like increasing that array thingy. So yeah, this kind of sucks. Maybe I can find another way of storing the moves, more efficient way. 119. Wait, what the fuck is correct? But can't you just castle on the sixth move? I guess not. But at least it's correct for now. So wait, let's see. So this is the first move, second, third, fourth, fifth. So this is the sixth, and this would be the seventh move, which is castling. Okay. But yeah, like maybe next time I'll try to implement castling, or we'll try to implement castling together. And until then, hopefully I can find a way to improve a bit the performance. I know optimization is the root of all evil or whatever, but that's not true. So yeah, maybe I can find a way to refactor this stuff a bit so that it's a bit faster, because we have a lot of random ass stuff that's kind of bad. Maybe we don't need that dynamic arrays. Maybe we can use another structure that's a bit better at doing this, but I don't know right now what would be better. Maybe storing things in a single integer would work, like chars for coordinates and something. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see. So thank you for watching, and let's see in the next one. So see you.